JamiroFan 2000, and welcome to another episode of JamiroFan Talks About, where I talk about the 24-year-long music discography of the band JAMIROQUAI. But today I've got a special 3-part video talking about the possible release avenues that JAMIROQUAI can go on for their 8th album. Now, we've all seen the news that came out the middle of this week when I talked to Paul Turner on Twitter about him confirming that JAMIROQUAI indeed has a new record deal, but didn't go into detail which record label that they signed with. So then, on the same day after I talked to him on Twitter, I found a artist listing on, who would have thunk of it, SONY Music's website. But a fellow fan of mine over on JamiroTalk did some looking around, and apparently it's JAMIROQUAI is listed under their Legacy Recordings catalog, which is a catalog of some of their old artists that are still in their catalog, and they periodically release or reissue their albums. So in this 3-part series, I'm going to I'm just going to basically talk about the 3 possible album release directions they can go. And please keep in mind, this is purely speculative, and this is purely of the vein of like an editorial. So don't take any of this what I'm about to say as gospel or truth. Any news about the new album will be confirmed by whatever record label that JAMIROQUAI signed to. So in this first video, I'm going to talk about the potential of JAMIROQUAI going back to SONY. Now, most fans know that JAMIROQUAI left SONY Music BMG, which, you know, they were a consolidated record label at that time, in 2006 because JK had gotten tired of the record executives at Sony interfering with the band when they were trying to record music or trying to compose music or put out albums. So to necessitate his 8-album deal they originally had with Sony, they asked JK to release the Greatest Hits compilation, otherwise known as High Times. So then, after fulfilling that contract, JAMIROQUAI was free to go and sign whoever they wanted to. Now, let's just say, just a rhetorical discussion, if JAMIROQUAI did go back to Sony. There's a lot of pluses with JAMIROQUAI going back to Sony, obviously. Sony's got the distribution, they've got the promotions. They're a big label, so they could do everything that JAMIROQUAI needed to do to be promoted properly. And it would just be, given all that JK said he went through dealing with Sony when being an artist, being a contracted artist there, it would be very weird. But, you know, if anything human history has taught us, time can heal wounds. And I'm sure if Sony had new management or had new directors or new presidents, I'm sure they would work with JK so they had a contract that was both fair on him and fair on Sony, and there would be no of the past transgressions that caused JAMIROQUAI to leave Sony back in 2006 initially. So, I mean, it would be a big plus. And not to mention, Sony does a very, very good job promoting and putting out their artists' music. The whole dealing with the royalties and the copyright, how the copyrights are in the world today is just another Pandora's box we could open another time and another discussion. But you know, a lot of fans who have followed JAMIROQUAI for such a long time would be taken a little bit back if JAMIROQUAI was announced to have returned to Sony and their subsidiary labels. But you know, for me, you know, if the relationship between JAMIROQUAI and Sony in this new deal was bridge under the water or water under the bridge and no, you know, a fresh slate, then I'm all for it. So, you know, I'm interested in what your thoughts. What would your thoughts be if JAMIROQUAI were to re-sign with Sony to release their 8th album? Please leave your comments and thoughts in the description box in the comment section of this video down below. And I'll see you next time with part 2 of this special JamiroFan Talks About episode. Bye bye.